I think someone has some news.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to start with. Yeah. So I am now a taken woman. I am betrothed.
Mazel tov.
As they say.
Yeah, I saw the ring. The last
Yeah.
time I saw a rock that big, it was next to Iran.
Yeah.
I thought really hard about that one.
I bet you did. But yeah, David proposed. So now I'm engaged.
Yeah, tell us all about it.
Crazy. Yeah, well, we've been talking about it for a while. So it's kind of at the point where something might happen. Every time you're like, a holiday pops around, you're like, oh, could this be a time? Or like you go on a trip and you're like, oh, could this be a time?
Yeah.
But at this time, it popped into my head and then it quickly left because we were both very ill.
Ah.
Yes.
So you were deathly ill.
We were very, very ill. We were ill from the previous week's Thanksgiving.
Yes.
My niece and nephew love them to death, but they are snotty Germans and
they don't listen to this podcast, I hope.
They don't, because they're 2 and not even 1.
Wow, okay.
So I hope they don't listen. They wouldn't understand what I was saying. Yeah, they got me very sick. David had lost his voice.
Oh my gosh.
He sounded like Mickey Mouse.
Oh my gosh.
Quite literally. I was up there. It was that's where it was.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we went to Longwood Gardens. We had planned it a couple weeks in advance, and we usually go with his parents around Christmas time because they have lights and everything, and like we go a lot because it's pretty and I like flowers. We went, and David's mom was like, oh yeah, they have this book signing and all these events because they're unveiling this like 3-year-long construction project and all these things. Like we were all excited to go see the new conservatory.
We'll have some good construction.
Yeah, well, it's all done now.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the unveiling.
Yeah, construction professionals are the true heroes.
Yes.
We've always said on this podcast.
Yeah, always. Yeah, so we went on, there's like an Italian architecture portion of it, which is a little bit more private, and especially in the winter when there's not as much happening down there.
Uh-huh.
So we went down there to roam around, and...
Roam around?
Yeah.
Nice pun.
Yeah.
It's Italian.
I didn't even get it. To roam around... Yeah. Look at that. This is why you're here, Dylan.
This is the only reason.
This is why I need you. And David goes, do you want to sit down on the bench? I was like, okay.
I love being prompted to sit down.
Right?
Because usually I have to take the initiative.
Yeah, right?
Uh-huh.
And we had like kind of just sat down at a previous place, and I was like, this is weird.
Uh-huh. 2 sits in such a short time span.
Yeah, I was like, all right, you weirdo. And I was like, maybe we're just like waiting for his parents or something. So I sat down, and his mom like kind of comes up, but like doesn't come up. And I'm like, what is happening? And David goes in her bag because she's been carrying around this giant ass book for this book signing that we're supposed to be going to. And he pulls out this like big thing, and he's like, well, I know like we weren't doing Christmas presents, but I didn't think you'd mind this one. And it was a book. And it was like a photo book. It's right behind you, actually. It has like a photo book that he put together in like chronological order of like a bunch of pictures of us. And then there was like the song lyrics.
Oh, that's very sweet.
It was really, really sweet. And then the last page was a picture of the ring. And then he proposed.
That's lovely.
It was very, very lovely. It was very sweet. And then his parents were there to record it and take pictures and celebrate, obviously. And it was
yeah. And now you're betrothed. How does it feel?
Weird. It doesn't feel, I feel like once I get the ring on me permanently, it'll feel real. I have not worn it since that first day because it's too big. They accidentally sized it half a size up.
Yes. And if anybody out there who's listening is planning to propose to their significant other, do the baby carrot trick.
Okay, Dylan said this.
It's the baby carrot trick. Very simple stuff.
Okay.
Get a baby carrot out of your fridge. I know you have one. Get the ring. If the ring fits the baby carrot, you're good to go.
And then what if it doesn't, Dylan?
Well, then you have to get a smaller ring.
Or what if it doesn't fit the other way?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, wonderful.
All right.
Well, what do you have for us today?
Oh, yes. Well, I have a mystery for you.
A mystery?
I do. It's giving some Agatha Christie vibes.
Okay.
I am going to be telling you about the Circleville letters.
Oh, this is sending me right now.
Yeah?
I don't know what that means, but I've heard people say it.
It's sending you right now. Yeah, so if you do not know, we're going to get into it. And I have to just preface by saying that this really was like a bitch to research because I wanted to do it before, but I think this is why I never did it because like there is so little out there about it. And then what there is like all haphazardly like stitched together by media and random people. So like you really have to dig for like an accurate timeline. Don't worry about it. I did the research, so you don't have to worry about it.
Okay, I'm not worried.
Just listen to what I put together, okay? So, yeah, just my sources, because I will forget.
Oh, fuck. I just realized something.
What?
We didn't do the intro.
You're right.
Hold on, this can be part of the intro.
Trying to think of what to do.
And then we'll get into the music cue.
Okay.
Don't edit any of this.
Don't edit it.
So we'll get into the music cue right after the intro, which is right now. Welcome to My Existential Crisis.
The podcast where we talk about all the things that make us question our entire sense of self.
My name is Dylan.
And my name is Madison.
And here's the music.
All right, so my sources. This time for real. The Crime Junkie podcast episode on it. The Stuff You Should Know episode podcast about it. Mm-hmm. The Unsolved Mysteries podcast about it. I listened to 3 different ones. All of them varied a little bit differently. Sheesh. The Columbus Navigator, All That's Interesting. 2 CBS news sources. A Medium article. And a Thought Catalog article.
Wow.
Yes.
We have a catalog for thoughts now.
Yeah. I bet there was some more in there. There definitely was. But it was all so piecemeal. Those were the main ones.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Gotcha. So
just for the background, Circleville, it sounds like a charming, pleasant place, doesn't it?
Truly.
And it kind of is. It's a very small town. It's about 30 minutes south of Columbus, Ohio.
I'd love to go around there.
Maybe not after you hear what happened.
Yeah, see myself out.
Yeah. The population is currently today under 14,500 people as of 2023. And while they are a relatively small town, they are known for 2 things. The first being the Pumpkin Festival, which is,
wow.
Dylan's face lit up.
Nice.
He was not expecting that. The annual,
I love a good pumpkin.
Yeah. This festival is dubbed by them as the greatest free show on earth and attracts nearly 500,000 people in this small town. So,
wow.
500,000 people, and they only have like 14,000 people who live there.
Oh my God, it must turn into a fucking battleground.
Yeah, like people flock there. There's a website and everything. There's a countdown. I checked it out. They're already counting down for next year. It is held the 3rd Wednesday through Saturday in October if you'd ever like to venture there. There's the world's largest pumpkin pie and lots of other fun pumpkin and fall treats and entertainment. So yeah, it's a big thing.
How have I not heard about this?
I know. But that's just the one thing that they're known for.
And what is the other?
The other thing are the Circleville letters.
Ah.
And that's what the story is going to be on today.
Interesting.
So in the summer of 1977, anonymous letters...
Good year for grapes.
Good year. What the fuck does this mean?
Doesn't
it's
mean
just
anything.
going to be an ongoing thing now. Is that going to be this episode's title? A good year for grapes?
It's up to you. You choose the titles.
I do, I guess. In the summer of 1977, anonymous letters signed by the Circleville writer started arriving in residents' mailboxes. These letters contained threats, accusations, and strange cryptic messages, somehow knowing intimate details about the lives of those who received them. As the letters continued, the town became gripped with fear, and the people were left wondering, who was this mysterious writer, and how did they know so much? As usually happens in small towns, again, rumors spread to the point where basic facts are disputed, making this a very frustrating case to research. There is surprisingly little written about the events compared to other stories, but it is one of the most infamous stalking cases that might not even be recognized as a stalking case by people, but it is. And with all that said, I'm going to get into as much of the timeline as I can, but just be aware that some things might be a little bit out of order, but for the genuine purpose of the story, these are the facts.
Yeah, leave it to a town with a pumpkin festival to have a stalking case.
I know. I hate it. I hate it here.
My
leaving.
brain is deteriorating rapidly.
Oh, no. All right. Well, in 1977, much like today, Circleville was a very small town with 13,000 people. Everyone knew everyone. Life moved slowly. People were unassuming. Crime rate was, and still is, very low. It's very unassuming. It feels like a very picturesque, small town, America town. While this first letter in 1977 was sent to a woman named Mary Gillespie. She was a school bus driver for the West Falls School District, a woman who people thought of well if they thought of her at all.
Mm-hmm.
She was married and had 2 children, and her first letter was unexpected, and yet it set the tone for the years to come, where she would be the repeated target of attacks.
Mrs. Gillespie, stay away from Mazzy. Don't lie when questioned about meeting him. I know where you live. I've been observing your house and know you have children. This is no joke. Please take it serious. Everyone concerned has been notified and everything will be over soon.
Seems perfectly fine.
Oh, perfectly normal. Yeah. So the letter was written in very distinct capital letter handwriting with a misuse of colons, punctuation, spelling, and grammar.
Nice.
And I have to say colons because, like, literally everywhere there should be any kind of punctuation, there's a colon.
So it's somebody hiding their level of education.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the theory. Yeah. Some theorize this was on purpose, exactly like you said, but that's jumping ahead. The letter was postmarked in Columbus, Ohio. There was no signature, no return address, no way to tell who sent it.
I've been to Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
I'd advise against it.
Is it sketchy?
It is. I remember it having the most potholes of anywhere
More than here.
that I've ever been to. Far more than here.
Wow, that's crazy. Pennsylvania has a lot of potholes, for those of you who don't know.
Yeah. So, what is it called? When, like, if you want a free chiropractor,
You get hit by a bus and then they pay for it?
no, just drive through Columbus, Ohio, because those potholes will have you jumping up and down, realigning your spine real nice. I can't feel half my body after going through that place.
Yikey crikey. That's probably why people don't leave.
Yeah.
Because they don't know any better. They start to feel the half of their body that they've never felt before. And they're like, what is this?
Please continue.
Okay. So Mazzy, who was described in the letter, is Gordon Mazzy, who is the superintendent of the school where Mary worked at and her children went to. The letter accused the 2 of them of having an affair and was threatening her if she didn't stop seeing him. Not only would the writer reveal the affair, but it was also menacing in terms of the tone and the information the writer had, like knowing where she lived, you know.
Yeah.
At first, Mary didn't actually think anything of it. She was like, this is just a prank. Somebody trying to get a rise out of me. So she kept the letter hidden from her husband.
Not the right move.
Yeah. Thinking that it would just be forgotten.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. Because a week later, Mary received her second letter.
Mary, I know your secret, you whore.
Holy shit. That's a really punchy way to start a letter.
Yeah.
Yeah. People just don't write like that anymore. 1977 was just a different time, I guess.
Okay, so here's something that confuses me.
Yeah, what's that?
It says,
You've been seeing Ron Gillespie.
which is her husband.
Okay.
They meant Gordon Mazzy.
Oh. That's confusing.
It is.
That seems like a weird detail to get wrong.
It does. So I don't know if every source I was looking at was just wrong in this way, or maybe the person just confused it because he was so angry.
Maybe they weren't as concerned about that as they were just antagonizing this woman.
We'll see. We'll get into that a little bit,
Okay.
too. Anyway.
You've been seeing Ron Gillespie, and I'm
True.
going to expose you if you don't stop. I know all about your dirty little affair. I'm not afraid to tell your husband and the whole town. If you don't stop seeing Ron,
Gordon.
I'm going to make your life a living hell. I'm going to follow you everywhere you go, and I'm going to tell everyone I know about your secret. I'm even going to tell your children. So think carefully about what you want to do. You can either stop seeing Ron,
Gordon.
or you can face my wrath. The Circleville writer.
And another.
Lady.
Lady.
This is your last chance to report him. I know you are a pig and will prove it and shame you out of Ohio.
This is fucked up a little bit.
A pig sneaks around and meets other women's husbands.
That's so awful. I hate that.
Behind their backs only. Causes families, homes, and marriages to suffer. You are such a pig and I will prove it.
The pauses were for the punctuation errors.
Why doesn't he come to your rescue? Or has he got too much to lose? His wife?
Loose.
Oh, I hate when people confuse lose with loose.
Loose.
It happens so often.
I don't know why.
Anyway.
His wife, and which pigs like you take advantage of. His
200 Nope. His $28,500,000. Nope. I have to read
Sounds like a lot of
numbers.
money, I think.
It would have been if I read it right.
His $28,500 a year job. Or his kids' backs. How's your little girl? Will she grow up to be like you?
Damn.
Again, she ignored these letters.
Should have been like, how's your little piglet?
How's your little piglet? Still hiding them from her husband, but another week later, her husband Ron received his first letter.
Yeah.
Mr. Gillespie, your wife is seeing Gordon Massey. Just
Cut into the chase.
Yeah.
You should catch them together and kill them both.
Jesus.
He doesn't deserve to live. We know what kind of car you drive. We know where your kids go to school. You're doing a lot for her. No one cares that much for anyone this day. Make him come to her rescue, but he won't. He's being awful good lately. He knows what he must do, but he won't. Make her admit the truth. Call the school board. His affairs must stop. Everyone will know soon. Think of yourself.
Damn.
So,
Curious to see what happens next.
yeah. Well, we're gonna get into that.
So in these Circleville letters,
Yes.
Does the writer dot their I's with little circles? Because that'd be cute.
No,
It's all in caps.
It's all in caps.
That's a shame.
And
Missed opportunity.
Most of it is blocked, like a very blocky, like stark, but it's very distinct because there are some curves. The handwriting gets disputed a lot because it's very unique.
Okay.
Like, it's basically like this person had their own font, which is kind of how handwriting works, but like they're very specifically trying to make it distinct.
Okay. Interesting.
Yes. So Ron is like, Mary, what the hell is this? And at this point, Mary realizes, like, it didn't just go away. Shit's hitting the fan. Like, I've got to address this. So
Yeah.
Mary shows her husband the letters that she got. She insists she was not having an affair. Her and Gordon Massey, up and down till the day they died, insisted that they were not having an affair. She's saying that she has no idea what the letters are talking about or who they could be from. So Ron actually chooses to believe his wife. And they decide to move forward, trying to ignore them together. But a week later, another letter was sent to Ron.
Be funny if they were like they had a return address on the envelope.
Yeah.
Accidentally.
Yeah.
But what did this one say?
This one said,
Gillespie, you have had 2 weeks and done nothing. You are a pig.
He's really throwing that around.
He really is.
Make her admit the truth and inform the school board. If not, I will broadcast it on CB,
Like CB radios.
posters, signs, billboards until the truth comes out. Only pigs ride motorcycles.
Oh. Okay.
Good hunting in your red and white truck on your way to work.
Which is his truck.
I followed him for weeks since last summer and have seen her meet with him several times.
Still, deciding to handle the matter within their family instead of going to the police. It was a small town. They wanted to minimize scandal as much as they could, but it was no use because now letters were going to all members of the community at this rate. The vice principal of the school began receiving letters. Mr. Gordon Massey himself was receiving letters. And at this time, signs were being posted around town like he threatened. The letter to the vice principal was like, I've got proof of the affair if you talk to me. But nothing was revealed.
Nobody saw who was putting up these signs?
No. I mean, it was the 1970s. There's no video cameras.
But you would imagine at least somebody would see the person doing this.
So we will get there towards the end.
Okay.
But for the most part, no, nobody saw the signs.
Interesting.
The person had to have been putting them out like either very late at night or very early in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Mr. Massey was threatened to have his tires slashed and cut his brakes of his car. The writer wanted the affair to be revealed and for Mr. Massey, a prominent figure in the town, to be punished and brought to justice. The letters then took an even more disturbing turn when the writer started to include Mary's young daughter into the letters. He was now claiming that Massey was sexually abusing her and threatening her directly. The writer said in one letter,
It's your daughter's turn to pay for what you've done. I shall come out there and put a bullet in that little girl's head.
Sheesh.
quite literally a little girl. Like, I think she's like 8 at this point.
Oh my God.
Maybe 7. Yeah. The letters and signs around town grew more disturbing, like the private letters with their daughter being the main target. Being the superstar dad that he was, I just want to shout out Ron Gillespie because he would get up extra early each morning to patrol the neighborhood before he had to go to work to take down letters and signs that were along his daughter's school bus route because they were set up specifically to go along her route so that she would see them and that her mom would see them. And he would go around to take them all down so she wouldn't have to be embarrassed or see them.
Oh, what an upstanding guy.
It really is. Like he would try his darndest. A neighbor said that Ron was devastated and distraught. He didn't get much sleep during that time period. He was frantic. He would drive around an hour or two in the morning before his shift, just looking for anything obscene. He worked very hard to figure out what it was really all about and have the problem solved, and of course, protect his daughter. And at this point, with their daughter now being threatened, they did go to the police. They're like, enough is enough. Like, this has gone too far. But even still, it was no use. The police, with the letters turned over, law enforcement wiretapped phones. They watched houses. They even worked with the postal service to try and intercept letters, but to no avail. What had started as an attack on the Gillespies and Gordon Massey was now something everyone in town was on the lookout for. Threats were now being made against everyone. Lies were being spread. Gossip was being revealed. Everyone's secrets were coming to the forefront.
This is going to be disastrous for the Pumpkin Festival.
Truly it is.
Oh my God.
Really, truly is. The writer seemed to have an unsettling amount of knowledge about the residents he was sending letters to. Divorce, affairs, embezzlement, domestic violence. And they were also being sent to people of all walks of life with no obviously link to one another. Yeah. Mothers, random neighbors, business people, school board members, city officials. No one was safe. The entire town became on edge, neighbors turning against neighbors, and everyone was out to get the writer of the letters. In addition to the personal impact of the letters were having on the residents, it was affecting the town's ability to attract and retain teachers, businesses, administrators, other officials, people to go to the Pumpkin Festival.
Yeah.
It really hit the town hard.
Now, what did the father do? What was his line of work? Do we know?
I don't know. I don't remember, honestly.
Okay.
But I think it was mostly like a blue-collar town. And if there were businesses, like his brother-in-law worked for Anheuser Busch, the beer company, as a manager.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like that kind of town.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I want to visit this place.
Yeah. Especially in the fall.
Yeah.
The third week, Wednesday through Saturday, guys.
Pumpkins are easily the most aesthetically pleasing vegetable.
I would agree with that. They are beautiful. Whenever we went the pumpkin patch for people at work. Mm-hmm. What was it? It was like the Long Island pumpkin. That was a beautiful pumpkin. Did you see that pumpkin?
The Long Island pumpkin? Are we talking about the pastel sort of soft colored pumpkin?
Yes.
I remember those very fondly.
Yeah, they were beautiful.
Beautiful pumpkins.
I was like, I've never seen a pumpkin this gorgeous. It's so aesthetically pleasing. Very minimalist vibes.
Absolutely. I want to put one on my Tumblr. I think the scale goes pumpkins number 1.
Okay.
Apples number 2.
All right.
Number 3.
What about a gourd?
Watermelon.
Okay.
Number 3 is a tie between a watermelon and... No, I think it's just watermelon. What's your fruit tier list?
My fruit aesthetic list?
Yeah, your tier.
I thought we were at first just talking about fall things, but you said watermelon, and I was like, oh, hot damn, that's a good one.
Yeah.
My fruit aesthetic list.
Hot damn, look at that yam.
Yeah.
What's
Not
your
yams.
top 3?
Pumpkins are definitely up there.
Okay.
I would say strawberries.
Strawberries.
So intricate. I love it. Love the little details.
Yes.
Maybe a pineapple.
Pineapple.
Yeah. I like the one with the textures. I like the idea of textures and the different dimensions of a fruit.
Tropical.
Yeah.
Many planes.
Yeah.
Many angles.
Yeah.
Interesting choice. So pineapple is number 1?
I put pumpkin as number 1.
Pumpkin number 1.
Not just for the way it looks, but also for the versatility of it.
Interesting.
Yes. I can't just put the strawberries out for home decor, but I can for a pumpkin.
Pumpkins make excellent decor.
They do. They also make excellent pies. They do. Probably strawberry next. I like the daintiness of it. And then probably a pineapple because it's more fun.
Excellent.
Whimsical.
Excellent.
Yeah. All right. So with all these letters going out, people were going pretty crazy. And the wild part is a lot of these rumors actually ended up being true.
Mm.
So some of them made shocking accusations. Allegedly, there was corruption by the town sheriff. And then there were claims that the town's physician and coroner, Ray Carroll, had sexually abused minors. And 10 years later, that latter claim would be proven true.
Sheesh.
He was exposed as a serial abuser.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that was the thing. Like, he knew. Yeah, sure. A lot of these things might have been like blown out of proportion or unfounded,
Yeah.
but a lot of them were actually very true.
I'm wondering what job you would have to know so much information. I'm
Right?
thinking police officer.
Yes.
Number one.
Yes.
Mailman.
Mailman. You know what? That's a good one I don't think I've ever thought of before, because that would
Yeah.
also make sense for people like delivering letters. You would never suspect the mailman because
Exactly.
he's there every
He
day.
goes from place to place, house to house.
He's just handing. You don't shoot the mailman.
He also sees what mail you're getting.
Yeah. So
and
you're
can deliver letters without being
suspicion.
suspected. That's correct.
I like that. That theory does not get tossed around anywhere that I've seen, but I like that theory a lot.
That's what I'm here for.
Okay.
That and really misguided puns.
I love it. We're cooking, guys.
All
We're
right.
cooking with pumpkins and other aesthetically pleasing fruits.
All right.
Here we go. So they were very unhappy, Mary and Ron were, with the police's efforts so far. So they clued in Ron's sister, Karen, and her husband, Paul, the one who worked for Anheuser Busch. Is that what it's called?
Anheuser Busch?
Busch? Yeah.
That's a beer company.
What?
It's a beer company?
Yeah. Very
Okay.
positive, isn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah. So Paul Freshauer to help them out. And besides, they kind of had an inkling of who it might be spreading these rumors. Mary recalled how a fellow bus driver named David Longberry had made a pass at her, but she rejected him. So she suspected that this romantic rejection caused him to act resentfully. So the five decided that they're going to write up David Longberry a couple letters of their own, basically saying, hey, buddy, you listen up. We know this is you, and if you don't stop, you're going to feel our wrath.
Just based on a guess.
On a guess.
Okay.
They sent about 4 to 5 letters, no violence or anything, but they wanted to scare him. And the plan seemed to work. The letters stopped for a couple weeks.
That's interesting.
Isn't it? But then, on August 19th, 1977, while Mary was away visiting her sister in Florida to get away from this past year, Ron received a call. To this day, we don't know who was on the other line. We don't know what was said. We only know that their daughter heard her father, Ron, shouting at the unidentified caller in the next room. Ron was convinced he was speaking to the letter writer on the other end of the line and that he knew who it was. He didn't reveal this, though. He just said to his kids he was going out to confront the letter writer. He took his .22 caliber rifle, stormed out, and raced away in his red and white truck.
Okay.
50 minutes later, within a very short distance from his home, at an intersection that he knew very well, he lost control of the vehicle, hit a tree, and was killed.
Holy shit.
Somewhere in between leaving the house and hitting the tree in that short distance, his gun had fired one single shot.
Okay.
The police suspected foul play, considering that he knew the roads very well, and his pistol fired one bullet, but they didn't know at what or whom.
His pistol or his rifle?
Pistol?
Okay, because I thought he brought his rifle.
Revolver?
Revolver. Okay.
Yeah?
Misheard.
That's okay. I just want to make sure. And the writer had also threatened him before and knew the truck. He knew the red and white truck. He'd
Right.
listed it before. But then they discovered Ron's blood alcohol content, which was nearly double the legal limit. So his death was then ruled an accident.
Thanks, Anheuser Busch.
Speaking of, his family did not believe it. Ron, his brother-in-law, was the most adamant. He's like, this is not an accident. This is a murder. He knew the roads too well. He was not one to drink. Nobody remembered him drinking that night. But, like, the science doesn't lie. You can't just, like, fake a blood alcohol content. Not just that, but, like, even if he wasn't one to drink, everyone was, like, disputing this. But, like, if all these things were happening in my life and my kid was being threatened and my marriage was falling apart, I'd drink. I could see that as being cause to drink. And he, besides, he might have taken some liquid courage before going out to confront the man.
Yeah, sure.
So there was that. Yeah.
Or it was a police conspiracy.
That's part of what people think. Because remember how I said the sheriff was accused of being corrupt?
Yes.
In the letters? Well, the town thought that as well. Specifically, again, Ron's brother. What is his name? I forgot his name. Hold on. Paul. Ron's brother, Paul Freshauer, the one who worked at Anheuser-Busch.
Yes.
He was like, the sheriff is corrupt. He's covering it up, especially because they were so adamant that it was foul play. Initially, they were like, this is foul play. We're going to investigate this. And then blood alcohol content. They're like, no, it's an accident. Sweep under the rug.
It's a strong snap.
Yeah. Thank you.
Please continue.
Thank you.
So his brother who worked at Anheuser-Busch. Brother-in-law who worked at Anheuser-Busch said that he wasn't drunk.
Yes.
He's like,
He's not drunk.
He's not drunk.
Don't.
Listen, I know what drunk is.
I say it every day.
I just have to look at this mirror.
Yeah. He was very adamant that only he knew what drunk looked like, and it wasn't the blood alcohol content.
Listen, I know drunk.
So, guess what happened very shortly after Ron's death?
What happened very shortly after Ron's death?
Mary and Gordon went public with their relationship.
What?
However, they insisted that it only began after his death.
The letters brought them together?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, right. Anyhow, that doesn't look good. And Mary ended up keeping her job as a school bus driver. She's now a widow, but she's still being targeted for years.
Still?
This goes on for decades, Dylan.
This was in 77?
Yes. We're now in 83. 5 years after the first letter was initially received.
Holy shit.
Signs were being posted along Mary's bus route, but they were getting more and more grotesque, you could say. All the children aboard her bus could see her daughter, now being 12 years old, was a more direct target in these. And on February 7th, Mary was driving her empty school bus, getting ready to pick up kids, and she's making her turn. She looks over and sees this handmade sign on a fence. Again, it's very graphically targeted towards her daughter in terms of like being sexually abused and just awful stuff. So sick of the shit, she pulled the bus over and went to go rip the sign down. But when she tried to pull the sign off the fence, she realized that it was rigged with twine and a box.
Oh, fuck.
She says that she took the box home and then opened it and got a shocking surprise. Inside was a gun. It was rigged as a booby trap to go off when the poster was ripped down.
Oh my fucking
The twine
God.
was supposed to pull the trigger. Mary narrowly escaped death that day.
That's fucking terrifying.
Isn't it?
Oh my God.
Don't be ripping signs down, guys. At least
Yeah.
check for some twine first.
Have you seen the sign? I don't know where it is because directions elude me always. I
feel
don't
you.
fucking know locations.
I don't know.
But there's this sign about like not even half an hour from here, 15 minutes. It's like right in front of this curve that you take to get into the adjacent town of here.
Okay.
It's this big sign, like big rectangular sign. And the guy who lives in the house is insane. And he puts the most grotesque, offensive shit on this sign. You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly. I pass it a lot.
Like pictures of like aborted babies.
Yes.
And just
Awful stuff.
really terrible and very offensive messages calling everyone like godless cretins and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's actually wild.
I have no idea why he's allowed to do that. I guess it's his property.
You know, my nail just bent backwards. That really fucking hurt. Sorry.
Ow.
I'll cut that out. It's fine. That really hurt. Okay. You want to see how far it bent?
Yeah, sure.
Do you see the little white line below the nail line?
Ow.
Sorry. Okay, that really hurt.
You sure you're so good at record?
Yeah.
That sucks.
It's okay. I'll just put pressure on it.
You had your finger injuries recently.
What did I do? What?
The finger that you sliced by moving the
I
oven.
sliced myself with the oven. That one healed. No.
Did you anger an old woman wearing a babushka recently?
Maybe.
Okay, well,
It's true.
might be time to make amends.
How do I make amends? How do I find this babushka woman?
Oh, sheesh.
Will you wear a babushka and I could just make amends to you?
Like symbolically?
Yeah. Is that how that works?
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I won't even charge all that much.
Oh, that's so kind of you.
So please
Yeah.
continue.
I was just gonna say, David's friend works for a township in Pittsburgh. He takes care of like code violations and stuff like that for like, and he has to like go and address people like, hey, you gotta move this shit. Like, hey, you can't have this up here. It's a code violation. He deals with complaints like that for the township. And I asked him directly about that because I was like, this is like not okay. And he said that it probably wasn't legal, but in terms of like the graphic ones especially,
Yeah.
like the other ones are fine because it's free speech and like you can do whatever. If the person who's on there isn't suing, then whatever. But the ones that are more graphic probably are illegal, but it's probably to the point where like no one cares enough to do anything about, like, there are bigger fish to fry.
I mean, it seems like a danger to drivers, some of these signs.
It honestly does.
Yeah,
I am distracted
it's very
from
graphic.
Frequently. Yes, it is graphic.
Yeah.
Anyway. So Mary, escaping this attempted murder, took the box to the police and started to... Sorry?
Take two.
Yep. So Mary,
Yeah.
having narrowly escaped this attempted murder, took the box to the police, and they started handling all the evidence as an attempted murder case.
Right.
Investigators at Ohio's Bureau of Criminal Investigation saw that the serial number was attempted to be shaven down, but very poorly, so they were able to bring in some experts to uncover the serial number, and they found an owner. However, the owner of this gun said, yeah, I sold that gun to my boss, Paul Freshour.
What the fuck?
Mary's brother-in-law.
I didn't do it. I swear to God.
He would be saying that for many years to come.
Holy shit.
So, at first, this felt very shocking because the families were always very close, even after Ron's death. But when investigators went to talk to Karen, Paul's wife, Ron's sister, that's how they're connected, following there. Okay, so whenever they went to go talk to Karen, her and Paul's relationship was very tense, to say the least. They were in the middle of a bitter, messy divorce, and she accused him of domestic violence and being the letter writer, oddly enough. She just started coming out with a bunch of stuff when the police came to her. She said that after Ron's death, he started to hate Mary over the whole Mazzy deal. Karen said that she found letters hidden around the house, one even torn up and flushed down the toilet, but her son unclogged it with a wire hanger. Some believed that he was writing letters as a way to get back at her and her family. It's also very important to note that Karen had recently lost everything in this divorce, and I mean everything. She lost custody of the kids, the house, all of their life savings. She was very bitter, and she was actually living in a trailer on Mary's property, her sister-in-law. So when Paul was confronted, he was actually very cooperative. He didn't ask for a lawyer. He readily answered all of their questions, even admitted that the gun was his. But when asked how the gun ended up in the trap, he insisted that he had no idea. He said that the gun was hidden in his garage, and very few people, if anybody, actually knew that he had it. He also said that this hidden gun was actually stolen weeks earlier,
Convenient.
which he just never reported because he suspected that his son had taken it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Nothing to worry about.
Nothing to worry about.
His son being how old?
I think he was a teenager at this time.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So he gladly let him search their home, which they looked for any components that could have helped him make the trap. Police then asked for a handwriting sample to compare to the letters.
That's going to be useless.
Exactly. So handwriting, like, analysis can be accurate, but it's not a proven science.
Yeah.
Especially in the way that they did it here. So this was about as faulty as a handwriting sample could be. In Ron's instance, the police showed him some of the Circleville letters and asked him to copy the handwriting as closely as he could.
Okay.
That's literally not how that works.
This reminds me of the John Bonet case a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Have you also... I covered the Watcher house whenever Jared was recording with me one day, like last year.
Yeah.
Did you listen to that episode?
Yeah.
Yeah. This reminds me of that case, too. It reminds me of like a little bit of John Bonet in terms of like the mystery of it all and the Watcher case, like if they were mixed together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, so usually when it comes to handwriting samples, you're supposed to recreate as much of the environment and situation as possible. What you're writing on, what you're writing with, the surface you're writing on, the timing, if that's a factor, time of day even, mood. And this was none of that. They gave him an actual letter, maybe to... Nope, I'm going to do this quote. Okay, so the experts said that the testing was improper, so they didn't say that the letters were written by Paul Freshour. They just said that they could have been.
Mm-hmm.
And this actually gets used as evidence in court,
Okay.
which is wild. So after all this evidence was gathered, which is not much, the gun, handwriting, and witness testimony from his scorned ex-wife, Paul was charged with attempted murder of Mary Gillespie and placed on a $500,000 cash bond. In October, he went to trial for attempted murder. Again, not a strong case. There was zero physical evidence that tied Freshour to either the gun or the device it was found in. No fingerprints, no DNA, no nothing. The evidence was largely circumstantial. Freshour had taken the day off from work that same day the booby trap was found, and the box that held the gun, an industrial-sized chalk box, was easily found at Anheuser Busch where Paul worked.
I mean, everything is pointing toward him.
That said, he had an alibi for most of the day when the trap was set. He was having work done on his house, which is why he took off from work that day. There were no fingerprints, no physical evidence. This is like an 1800s like courtroom where they mop up the blood and rely on their hunches.
Okay. And I mean, during the work that was being done in the house, the contractors admitted to seeing him.
Yeah,
there?
They were there. He was there most of the day to like monitor them. It's like not like he could work from home. He just took the day off, and yeah, he was there just like with
cracking
them.
some cans.
Yeah, cracking some Anheuser Busch. Yeah, Anheuser.
Right in. Is it Anheuser, and Schnauzer, or something else?
Anheuser Schnauzer.
Or is it that?
That's probably it. I'm gonna go with that. The Anheuser Schnauzer.
Be a good mascot.
Yeah, that's the title.
Excellent.
Anheuser
We've
Schnauzer.
arrived.
His ex-wife testified against him, claiming to have seen the letters around the house, yet when asked to present them, she said that she threw them away. And again, the document examiners testified that the handwriting found on those anonymous letters could be his handwriting. It didn't look so great because one of these document examiners was actually originally hired by the defense. And then he flip-flopped.
Oh, no.
So I don't know why it's legal or possible. Also, the jury, everyone had in that courtroom, including the judge and jury, had received Circleville letters, and they were basically framing him of doing it, which of course they're going to want to catch the guy who did it. Like,
yeah, so it's just like they're rushing it.
Exactly. They didn't move the case out of town. So yeah, he was ultimately convicted of attempted murder. He received the maximum sentence of 7 to 25 years. I know this is a long one, but I've got some more information. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
No worries. If it seems like we're rushing it all, it's because we have to do 2 episodes.
Two episodes, and David has D&D.
And David has D&D.
So
we got to be in Cincinnati by sundown.
We got to be in Cincinnati and Columbus. So despite never being charged with anything related to the pen writing, investigators finally believed he was the man behind the poison pen letters, and the long reign of terror was finally over. But they were wrong. The letters did not stop. Hundreds of letters still swamped Circleville after Freshour's conviction. The prison warden declared that Freshour could not have possibly sent them. He had no access to pens or paper, but the Pickaway County Sheriff disagreed. Paul was strip searched going in. All of his ingoing and outgoing mail was inspected, but the sheriff believed that there just has to be somebody else working with him. He was even placed in solitary confinement, where he was restricted to everything. And not only that, but the letters were still being postmarked in Columbus, and he was imprisoned in Lima, which is on the opposite side of the state.
Yes.
And
I've been to Lima as well.
What?
I've been to Lima too.
Yeah, how is it?
Just as it's the same.
The only thing I know about Lima is I believe that's where Glee was based. That was
Oh, fuck. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I loved Glee when it came
too.
out.
You were a Gleek?
Yeah, I was a Gleek.
I was a Gleek.
Yeah, I was a big fan of that show.
Yeah, me too.
I had the CD.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I got it for Christmas.
That's incredible. I didn't know that about you. We have so much to talk about.
I mean, that was last year, but
last year. Just can't let go of it.
Yeah.
I understand. I get it. So the letters, crazily enough, were even sent to him.
Wow. Okay. So it does sound like he had an accomplice.
There had to have been. So that's. There's so many theories about this.
Because, like, if the box was taken from Anheuser Busch, then it's probably somebody that he worked with.
Yeah.
That he was in cahoots with. Mm-hmm. And it was either the both of them or the other person.
Yeah.
So, but it seems like if they were, maybe not. I don't know.
No, I don't know either, because I go one way and then I'm immediately convinced something else. Like,
Yeah.
There's no physical evidence, but all these things line up. And then also, like, he's receiving letters himself, but then people say, like, maybe he pre-wrote them and somebody else is sending them out from him in Columbus. But his letter said,
Fresh hour. Now, when are you going to believe you aren't getting out of there? I told you 2 years ago. When we set them up, they stay up. Don't you listen at all. No one wants you out. No one. The joke is on you. I saw the paper. Great news. Great. The sheriff loved it. Ha. Ha. Do you believe it now? Do you?
You think that if somebody else has been arrested for your crime, you'd probably just stop writing letters.
You'd
right?
think.
You just like put it down
You'd
and say,
think.
That was a good run.
Yeah.
But this person is continuing to write.
Continuing to write.
Unless it's a copycat, which could be.
Possible. It's possible. In the early 1990s, an investigative journalist discovered evidence in police reports that there was an alternate suspect who was never investigated.
Ah.
There was another bus driver before Mary who saw something that never comes up in trial and points the whole case in a different direction. The bus driver said that 20 minutes before Mary found the booby trap, she had driven by the same spot on a very similar route. She said that she saw a man standing beside a yellow El Camino, but the man quickly turned away from her, pretended to be going to the bathroom on the side of the road, so she didn't get a good look at his face, but what she did see did not match Paul. She saw a very large man with sandy blonde hair. Paul was not large, and he had very dark brown hair. Guess who had an El Camino?
Who?
Karen's brother.
Okay.
Karen's his ex-wife.
Okay, yeah. I forgot.
Karen's brother.
Yes.
His brother-in-law.
Okay.
His ex-wife. And guess who matches the description?
Who?
A man Karen was seeing.
Interesting.
In December of 1993, the show Unsolved Mysteries actually went to Circleville to investigate, and they also received a letter.
What?
Yes.
That's wild.
Right?
That can't be real.
It is. They had a picture of it. I'll put a picture up.
Wow. Okay.
It said,
Forget Circleville, Ohio. Do nothing to hurt Sheriff Radcliffe. If you come to Ohio, you L sickos will pay. Circleville writer.
and although she was never considered a suspect, Karen was not happy when the Unsolved Mysteries team came to investigate. People noticed that she refused to participate, and she actually sat in a car on the other side of the intersection and took pictures of everyone going in and out for interviews.
Pretty bold.
And as one of those journalists said, she's a very convenient villain. But in May 1994, Paul was finally granted parole after serving 10 years. To this day, he maintains his innocence. He is sure that the real criminal is still at large, and he says that he would like to get someone to really look at the case on the letters, reopen it because it's now closed, get in there and study his former brother-in-law's death. And he said, look, that's not my family anymore. That's my past. I'm not even going to look back at it. I've got a new family and a new future, but I would still like to see someone look at the accident real close and the letters. During a 48 hours investigation in 2021, a new independent analysis was done by forensic document expert Beverly East. And she studied some of the anonymous letters along with some of Paul Freshauer's handwriting, pointing out how unique the letter G was. And it convinced her that she knows who was responsible, going as far as to state, I would go to court and swear on a Bible on the evidence that I found, saying that his handwriting and the letter writers matched because of the distinctive G.
Huh.
Within this same 48 hours investigation, though, an analysis was done by former FBI profiler Mary Ellen O'Toole, which I take into more account than the handwriting expert personally, but that's just me. Within the letters, she believed that the writer had a serious personality disorder and enjoyed hurting others. He would have seemed callous to those around him. He had a need for power, a need for attention. None of those really matched Paul. And she also suspects that it's a woman writer and a highly educated person who is trying to feign that she is not. Further, she doesn't think that it's likely that the person responsible for the letters would have taken the risk to set up this booby trap. So she thinks that the trap was actually set up by somebody else who took advantage of the situation, which I could see. The last Circleville letter was sent on November 21st, 1994, and it was addressed to Marie Mayhew, which is straight up a Grinch name. Martha Mayhew is absolutely a character in The Grinch, which I want my last name to be Mayhew. Madison Mayhew.
Oh, that'd be delightful.
Yeah, but maybe instead of I'm not changing my last name to David's, but maybe I'll change it to Mayhew.
Are you hyphenating it or keeping your own?
I don't think so. I don't know, actually. People keep asking me. I don't know. I just thought I would keep my own. You can call me whatever you want, but...
Just don't call me late for dinner.
Exactly. You know what they say, guys. So this last letter, sent to Marie Mayhew, was a journalist who had been investigating the case, and it was also threatening, warned Mayhew to stop writing about the case, contained a number of personal attacks against her and her family, and while studying the thousands of pages of the case file, Marie Mayhew made a discovery that supports East's findings. Investigators had found Paul Freshauer's fingerprints on about a dozen letters postmarked while he was incarcerated.
Sticky little fingerprints.
But how is that possible? Unless they were written beforehand.
Yes.
That's possible.
Beforehand. Another good pun.
That took me a minute. We're almost done, I promise. So this last Circleville letter was significant because it was the first letter to be sent in over a year. It was also the first letter to be sent after Paul Freshauer was released from prison, and after he was released, they stopped completely after this letter. He had maintained his innocence throughout. He also said that his family was torn apart by his conviction. So another theory was whenever he and his wife divorced, his parents were split. But his son always seemed to sided with his mom more. So the theory is that he always thought that his son took the gun from his garage, which could be very possible, which is why he never reported it, because his son could have gone to jail for that if it had turned out to be true.
That makes sense.
So people think that maybe he got the gun to help his mom frame his dad to punish him for what he did since she lost everything.
This is so complicated.
Right? It just keeps going and going and going. And the very last letter, I'll just read it because it's poignant.
Marie, I'm back.
Did he miss me?
You miss me?
I've been watching you. I know everything about you. I know about your husband, your kids, your job. I know all your secrets. I warned you to stop writing about me. If you don't, I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to hurt your family. You're a terrible person, Marie. You're a liar and a hypocrite. You've destroyed so many lives. I'm going to make you pay for what you've done. The Circleville letter.
Some Gossip Girl ass story.
Yeah, right? But yeah, the writer's identity has never been conclusively proven. The case is closed, but there's so many layers here that nobody really knows what happened or who wrote them or how it's related. And that's the story of the Circleville letters.
Holy shit. Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a tangled web that you just wove.
It is. And I apologize that was longer. I feel bad now.
Not at all.
But yeah, there were so many freaking things I think I was up until like 1 o'clock in the morning last night.
So a lot of suspects.
One
person jailed.
One person jailed. One person killed because of the letters. Ron. It was either Paul's kids or Mary and her kids that said that they had PTSD because of it. I'm going to say
imagine.
Mary's kids. It might have been both because Ron's son also, he committed suicide in 2002.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, he dealt with depression and people say maybe guilt for most of his life, but we never know.
And this is still happening today.
The letters stopped being written.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, it was 2 decades, a little over 2 decades that they were being written. But
so the Pumpkin Festival is on.
Pumpkin Festival is on.
Hey, folks, you don't even have to worry about it.
Don't worry, guys. Nobody cares about this little town secret anymore.
Yeah, just bring your biggest pumpkins and have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Try not to think about the people who killed themselves and are in jail and died. And
No. Crime rate is still very low.
So if you're looking for a great place to live,
Circleville.
Circleville, Ohio.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
What do you think, Dylan?
It's hard to like point out just one person because
know.
there's so many characters in this story.
People think it's Karen. People think that maybe it was different people over time, but yet people insist that the handwriting is the same over time.
I think that it is definitely multiple people because even if it were multiple people over time, even though the handwriting is the same, many of these people receive these letters and can replicate that handwriting without much issue. Even the G's, which could also be a diversion.
Yeah. You practice it enough. I mean, it becomes muscle memory.
Yeah. We'll probably never know.
Probably not. No, it's crazy. I don't know.
You hear that, Susan? Write in. Tell us who it is.
Please let us know, Susan. You know all the things.
All right.
But yeah, so that's the story.
Well, thank you very much, Madison.
Of course.
That was very interesting.
Oh, thank you. Well, if you liked what you hear, folks, let us know. If you don't let us know. That's okay. Keep it to yourself. If you have anything nice to say, you can just not say anything at all. You can find us at ME Crisis Pod on Instagram and Facebook. You can find us on YouTube, anywhere you get your content. Send us an email for case suggestions at myexistentialcrisispodcast@gmail.com. Also, just like say hi. Be like Susan. Send us your theories. Just tell us hello. We like some TLC. And we'll return that favor for you. This sounds creepy now.
We'll return your TLC as a favor. We owe you one.
Yeah. But yeah, you can follow Dylan at
Marble Folk.
and you can follow me at Madison Epley.
Wonderful.
Exactly. But
And if you have any suggestions for another Instagram handle for Madison,
yeah,
write in.
please let me know. Or
Pickle
don't.
fan number 1.
Yeah. What?
Pickle fan
Get the
number
fuck
1.
Out of here. I'm so over it. Yeah, I will cut you off. I will specifically talk to Spotify and not let you listen to this podcast.
Oh, no.
No, that's a lie. You guys are fine.
If I don't listen to this podcast, who's going to listen to this podcast?
Nobody. Susan. Who knows if Susan still listens? I don't know.
Gosh. I hope so.
I hope so.
Well, thank you so much. And I hope you folks have a great night.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.